Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Simply Trade podcast. My name is Annik, and I'm here with our other co-host, or my co-host, Lalo, today.
Hello, everyone.
Well, you guys know he's originally a host, but today he's a co-host on the news show, if we want to say so.
Yeah.
And we're back with another fun episode. Last week we did something differently. I feel like some of you guys saw the picture, how we recorded. And we're sticking with that. We think that it's a little bit more relaxed. And I don't know. We hope to bring you guys the best video versions of this soon, too. I know you might be listening in the car, but hopefully we'll come around to that. We'll see.
Yep. And so in case anybody's wondering, I mean, Andy's just been traveling. So as we're recording this, he's in Canada doing the IE Canada conference. So at one point or another, we'll get all our lives together and figure it out. Although I think we only have like two, no more than 3 weeks left of recording because of Christmas and holidays and all that. So,
and then next year will be a different concept.
Right. So anyway, but just so y'all know, I mean, Andy is still part of the regular show. We just, again, when we record the regular show and when we record the news, it just happens to be when he's traveling or I'm traveling. I think that happened last week.
Yeah.
And so there's just a bunch of different weird things going on, but no fear, we'll figure this out.
It's okay, guys. You still have me. I'm here.
Yeah, Annik is always here.
I'm a constant here. So today's actually CyberMonday, fun day. Lalo, do you have anything that you're getting into?
No, it's just weird that Black Friday always used to be like the thing to do. We would line up outside of Best Buy and all these stupid stores and wait, like,
get in fights.
Yeah. Fun fact, kids, your weed did not come from Santa. Dad stood in line at 2:00 in the morning until we got into it. I'm telling my kids that.
Oh.
When the Wii came out, that was like the super popular game console.
Wait, the Wii. Oh my God, I totally understood weed.
Nintendo.
I was like, you were standing in line for weed? Wow, that's a different concept. I've never heard of that. This is interesting to speak on the podcast. Okay.
No,
I know what you're saying.
Nintendo
okay.
Wii.
Yes.
When it came out, it was the hot item for Christmas. We got it for our kids. We're so excited that Santa brought them this. Little do they know, like I said, that Dad actually stood in line at 2:00 in the morning for several hours before we got in, and only some of us got it. I got lucky. My lotto ticket came up and I was able to get it.
Oh my God, anyway. That's so funny.
So anyway, a lot of that is gone because now a lot of us are doing cyber.
Monday, yeah.
Well, this is weird too, because now I guess we'll talk a little bit about that, but this whole thing has shifted now. Apparently, there's no more thing as Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Now it's called Black Week.
Yeah.
Cyber Week.
Yeah, it kind of gets rid of all the craziness, the lines, the fights and whatnot. And we're going to talk a lot more about what is really happening this year on Black Friday and Cyber Monday, kind of the statistics of it, because it's a little bit interesting to see, especially, and we're going to move to our next topic. Or first topic, might I say, because of the prices increasing and, tariffs and whatnot. And we don't want to spend much time on this because we want to focus on Cyber Monday and Black Friday. But last week, from today, there was a statement made by the president-elect that he will put 25% taxes on Mexico and Canada. Tariffs, yes. This statement by him was made on Truth Social, which is the president-elect's social media, kind of like Twitter, but it's, where he can spread his news. And a lot of trade professionals have weighed in on it.
Right.
One of them being, there's different statements being made, and that's kind of what's out there. I'm sure you've heard it. Everyone heard it. It's right now we're recording, and this is kind of new news for us. But there's a statement different statements being made. And one of them, we had him on the podcast. His name is, what is it? First name is Scalisi.
His name is Chris Scalisi, and you'll find him on LinkedIn as Christopher Scalisi. He came on our show and did more like a historical breakdown of like protectionism, tariff increases, how that can, be hurtful for a country that's raising tariffs and all that. And he kind of wrote a paper, he did write a paper that we referenced back then from that episode. I think we heard it like maybe 2 weeks ago, so y'all can look it up. But he wrote a new paper based on these tariffs, I guess kind of expanding on that.
Yeah.
On what may happen if Trump does follow through on his promise to raise tariffs from Mexico and Canada 25%.
Yeah.
And an additional 10% for China. That's what he said. Those are the three he said. So by now, there's probably been lots of commentary. Or not, I don't know. It's Mondays, and of course, as you all know, we record this even before.
No, there's been a lot already, and it's just been a day.
Yeah, and so it may die out a little bit because of Thanksgiving, right? But who knows? But anyway, it's going to keep on going because...
Well, what I wanted to say, like, how has the impact been already from this? Let's just look at the statement being made, and obviously we don't know if this will happen. It's just a statement that has been made by the president-elect. But what has happened in other countries? We talked about this earlier, like stocks and whatnot. How is that reflected? This statement reflected on the other countries?
Well, negative on them, positive on us. So what's happened is that the dollar got a lot stronger as soon as he made that statement against nearly almost every currency, mostly, more specifically, the Canadian dollar, the Chinese yuan, Mexico also. So it's actually helped the U.S. economy, let's say, because it made it stronger, but it has also negatively impacted American stocks. And I'll give you an example. So automotive makers, that means their automobiles are going to be dramatically impacted because of all the parts and even cars. Cars are manufactured in Mexico that come into the US, and having that additional tariff is really, and again, this is very preliminary, so hopefully you all understand it. Something came out between when we got the news and when you're listening to this, please excuse that gap. Of course, we can't predict the future. So as of what he had said, because of that 25% tariff, the Ford stock went down, the Stellantis stock went down, and so did GM's because of that, because they all manufacture automobiles in Mexico.
Yeah.
And so, again, that was the negative impact of that, right? But the positive impact is some other stocks that are hurting because there's a lot of imports coming into the U.S. that affect their business. Potentially is now going to go up because now we'll buy more from them from the U.S. versus rely on imports. And so their stock is going up, or their value is going up, whether they're private or traded on the public stock exchange. So again, it's one of these things, is yay here, boo here. You know what I mean? It's like it affects things very differently.
Yeah. And it's just from an analyzation point, from the statement being made to seeing how people are reacting. It's kind of crazy. I mean, to me, just because, it hasn't happened yet, but still words can have such an impact on such a grand scheme, which is kind of, that's wild, but we don't know what's going to happen, right? And these are kind of things but this actually did happen. Like the stock situation definitely has been happening, but we don't know what's going to happen if tomorrow it's just going to
go up in a few days. By the time this airs, or by the time anybody listens to this, they're going to be like, "What are these guys talking about? They're crazy." My GM stock is the same as it was last month. Well, maybe it was, but not the day after this happened.
I do have to make a fun comment. I think it's funny, or do I say smart? I don't know if I should say smart. It's kind of smart to say something like that, even if you want to do it or not. But to say something like that and see how everyone's reacting, and indeed everyone is reacting.
Well, I mean and that's why
they're trying it out,
right? Well, there's also this idea that's why you can't really do that if you are a politician or even like the CEO of a company, because it's going to affect the stocks, and that means you're manipulating the stock market.
Oh, I see.
So I mean, that's also, not right to do that. So, but anyway, in his case, it's policy that he ran on. He talked about it all throughout his, the election process, but he never talked about Mexico and Canada really raising it to 25%. That's a lot. Well, that is huge.
Yeah, well, he did add, to add. I mean, the statement is online. You can find it. It says, we need to protect the borders. That's what it all comes down to. But moving on from that, which kind of still plays a role in Black Friday and Cyber Monday, I want to talk a little bit more about that because there's going to be record-breaking consumer participation, or has been. So a record of 183.4 million people are expected to shop during the Cyber 5 period, Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday. So again, we talked about that it's not just a day, but it's like a few more days. So this basically marks an increase of 18.1 million shoppers compared to pre-pandemic levels in 2019. So, I mean, I don't know what that says, but maybe it's because people are kind of getting back on their feet. They don't feel like they're having, to take care of their money as much as they did during the pandemic, or even go out shopping, because that was impossible during the pandemic, right? And then younger shoppers, particularly those aged 18 to 24, are driving this trend with 89% planning to participate. So those are the ones, that are maybe in college or getting started, and they want the new AirPods and they want, all the new hip stuff. So Deloitte's 2024 Black Friday Cyber Monday survey reveals these insights that consumers plan to spend an average of $650 during this period, 15% increase from last year. That's pretty good. And they also said that Gen Z and millennials are contributing to a compound annual growth rate of 13.2, which has been going on since 2021. Interestingly, both lower income, under 50K, and higher income, over 200K groups are increasing their spending by over 20%.
Nice.
Yeah. I think that's nice because people are going to, they're selling their stuff. The economy is going to maybe boom.
No, I agree. And these are just indicators that help, us figure out how well the economy might be doing from year to year, of course. But for trade professionals, I guess I'm going to take more of a trade, customs and trade angle or perspective on this. So what does this mean? Just a few stats also that I read, and I did some more research, was that for orders coming in during this, I call it 2 weeks and except 5 days, because technically it is 5 days, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Well, a few days.
Yeah, a few days. No. But I call it 2 weeks because there are stats. Not only stats, I'm getting all the texts and all the emails starting last week, like the week before Thanksgiving, saying Black Friday's now going on now. You know what I mean? And so they're doing their sales way early. So regardless, but anyway, during this shopping time, it shows that orders for that are now 15. In other words, 15% of those orders or sales being made come from international consumers.
Oh, wow.
So that is up from single digit percentages. So 15% now. And who knows how much it's going to be after all of this is said and done, but it's trending at about 15%. It's up from single digits just 2 years ago. So this is big, meaning what? For a trade professional, what does that mean? if my product is made in the US, and I have to fulfill that order, that means now I need to ship this to a different country. I need to worry about their import process or procedures, et cetera. So now I have to be worried about that. So e-commerce is now becoming a very big part of this whole shopping spree stuff.
Well, also that shipping costs. So this is interesting because even though people are driving, to not driving, I don't mean physically driving, but driving the cost as they're buying more, shipping costs have risen by 25% compared to last year, which basically impacts both retailers and consumers. So everyone's kind of being impacted, but yet consumers are still buying more.
Right, they are. And, but kind of like going back to our previous tariff story, like you said, it kind of ties into it. Also considering how much is this going to be affected, this 15% increase, how much of it is going to be affected when, if the tariffs go up, like how much more is going to be global? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's very likely, although again, history can show itself. So there was a tariff act, the Smoot-Hawley 1930 Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, showed that when we raised our tariffs, other countries raised their tariffs on us as well. And so that created like these huge trade wars where at the end of the day, it extended the Great Depression. But again, you can go back and listen to Chris Scalise's episode because he actually talks a little bit about that. But anyway, so next year, who knows if these tariffs are imposed? How is that going to change trade? How is that going to change how you fulfill orders? How are you going to have to account for now filing additional paperwork or doing different things that affect what you're doing today? So usually you say, whatever happens today or this year, I'm going to use to plan for next year. Oh, I was caught off guard because I didn't realize I was going to get so many orders. And maybe you might have a distribution center closer to countries where people are buying your stuff, right?
Nearshoring.
Well, yes, to other countries. I'm an American company. Let's say most of my orders came from Europe. Maybe next year I'll have a warehouse, a distribution center in Europe.
Yeah, that was
right?
Smart.
And I'll stock there. But who knows? What if there's retaliatory tariffs? So you see, like what happens this year may not be what you're going to be doing next year because things may change.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I guess I'm just kind of trying to use a trade perspective on what you're talking about, which is Cyber Monday, Black Friday, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's great to see that, the economy may be helping with this. In other words, I think this year, the price of Thanksgiving dinner, I don't know how they measure that, but the price of Thanksgiving dinner for 10 people was like, I think something like $60 when you cook it.
Yeah.
Which is way down from the past 3 years.
Yeah.
So it rallied from the first 3 years of the Biden administration to this last year. Somehow it rallied and now it's like way down. So again, I don't know how they determine that, or it doesn't matter. But what I'm trying to say is, you know what I mean? Like things just tend to change that way. So.
Yeah. And, talking on logistics challenges, UPS is going to work really hard. Oh, I'm struggling with UPS lately, guys. So I have nothing good to say right now. But UPS anticipates delivering over 32 million parcels daily during this period. And, talking on supply chain and logistics, there's actually 90% of supply chain firms require temporary workers to meet demand. And 18% of those, or not of those, but 18% struggling to find sufficient staff. That's wild that they have to have temporary workers working for this type of season. I mean, it's good for people because they get a job. But
well, no, they definitely do that. I mean, you can definitely see it in their neighborhoods. Like in my neighborhood, it's more of a kind of like a little, no, it's not a planned community. It's more like a rural area where there's like very large lots and everything. And so the UPS guys, they have 2 trucks that deliver every day versus 1 in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And each truck has 2 guys versus 1 guy. Or I shouldn't say guy, I'm sorry, employees. And the auxiliary employee, they load up this huge wagon. It's hilarious. Like a humongous wagon with all the packages. And that person literally goes door to door.
Wow. Well, look at that. Yeah, the impact it makes of us buying stuff. And, I hope you guys are all buying your Christmas presents at this time, because the price is going to go up after. I mean, it's just obviously everything is just more expensive during Christmas because people know you're going to buy your presents. So it's obviously consumer demand increases. So prices will increase, but not on Black Friday, which is why you should buy. Anywho, this concludes the Black Friday, Cyber Monday stuff. I hope you're getting all the good gifts you could, which 2024 is set to be record breaking for both of these events, reflecting broader trends in consumer behavior, technology adoption, and international trade, of course. Yeah. And I do have a fun fact for that. I think you kind of mentioned it, which was funny because I was going to say it already, but I figured I'll wait.
But
so
I didn't know
you
what
said
you were
that.
talk
No,
about.
it's fine. It's good.
Sorry.
Well, actually, yeah, I do. Okay. So Cyber Monday, you talked how it's a bit more of an international scheme now.
Yes.
Well, originally, this is a U.S.-centric event, which Cyber Monday has grown into an international shopping phenomenon now. And as of now, 28 countries participate in Cyber Monday sales, with the highest awareness in the UK at 89%, followed by Germany, Spain, Italy, the Netherlands, and Sweden.
But you also said there was something in Europe that is not Black Friday, because obviously Black Friday here in the US is because it's the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
there's no Thanksgiving over there. But you said it was like...
We do have a day.
What is it called? You called it something.
We do have a day. I'm not sure what it's called. 1 second. I can look it up.
But okay.
Oh, you know what? It's Singles Day.
Singles Day.
Yeah,
that's what
we
you called it.
We have Singles Day, and I think it's the day after Valentine's Day, and actually things are reduced a lot.
No, but there was also one around Christmas, wasn't there? I thought last year when
maybe it's this one, but Singles Day. I don't know when Singles Day was exactly. Well, that's
because you buy yourself a Valentine's Day gift because nobody bought it for you. Is that the way it's Singles Day?
I'm not sure. Oh, yes, it is. Singles Day is November 11th.
There you go, November 11th,
which is 11/11. Celebrate 11/11, Singles Day. So that is Germany's whatever.
But it's also all of Europe. You said no?
Sales. I think so. I think it's
I wonder why they call it Singles Day in November. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
Well, I think it's Singles Day because 1111. It's like a single number.
I get it. 1111. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought that was cool because I was walking down the streets and I'm like, what is this? And everything was reduced price. So it's kind of cool. I mean, there's different things going on in the different parts of the world. I do have to say Cyber Monday is definitely bigger here than anywhere else or in Germany per se. But internationally, they're catching on because the US is such a, big place where other countries are looking to kind of adapt things.
Well, Andy had a very good point. He had a speech recently at the AIAG on very specifically on that. Everybody wants access to the U.S. market.
I saw that.
Everybody wants access to the U.S. market. The problem is giving the U.S. market access to their economies.
Yeah.
And, cutting down on the trade deficit and all that. And so anyway, that's a whole different episode, of course. Of course, if you heard Andy, also his recording from AIAG. But we do plan on having more people come on. There's no doubt this is the new administration is going to create endless amount of episodes for us. So we're going to definitely be able to cover, if not for anything, is we have job security in the trade industry for us as podcasters. And also the idea of all of this happening, if we want to put a positive note on this, I mean, again, for or against Trump, it doesn't matter. We're not saying anything against or for that. But what I'm saying is, you as trade professionals now tend to have a seat at the table, because now your management is like, well, what's going on with trade? Now they're there with you. You're there with them talking about trade and making sure that whatever is happening internationally or, coming in and everything, now you are part of that conversation versus being an afterthought.
Yeah.
So anyways, like I said, like it or not, at least that's a good thing for our industry. So
yeah. So anywho, that is the end of our episode. We hope that you had a really great Thanksgiving last week. We hope that you're having a joyful Cyber Monday, and we will see you back next week. And then, oh my God, soon it'll be Christmas. And then, we're still going to be there. So You're not losing us. All right. Well, have a great day, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you very much for joining us. Simply Trade is brought to you by the generous contributions of Global Training Center. You can follow the show and GTC on LinkedIn or Twitter and other social networks. Make sure you check out the show notes in the description for a full rundown of today's show with all the important links. Also, make sure that you share this with a friend and subscribe on your favorite streaming platform. We really like hearing from you. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to rate and review wherever you listen to this podcast. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest in the show or would like to sponsor Simply Trade or suggest any topic you would like for us to discuss, please contact us via email at simplytrade@globaltrainingcenter.com, or you can DM us on Twitter at simplytradepod. Thank you again for the privilege of your time. Happy trading. Simply Trade is not a law firm or an advisor. The topics and discussions conducted by Simply Trade hosts and guests should not be considered and is not intended to substitute legal advice. You should seek appropriate counsel for your own situation. These conversations and information are directed towards listeners in the United States for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only and should not be substituted for legal advice. No listener or viewer of this podcast should act or refrain from acting on the basis of information on this podcast without first seeking legal advice from counsel. Information on this podcast may not be up to date depending on the time of publishing and the time of viewership. The content of this posting is provided as is. No representations are made that the content is error-free. The views expressed in or through this podcast are those of the individual speakers, not those of their respective employers or Global Training Center as a whole. All liability with respect to actions taken or not taken based on the contents of this podcast are hereby expressly disclaimed.